Redbeard and the Princess. As the night wore on and Captain John Redbeard Blackthorn sat in the tavern The Rusty Anchor, surrounded by his crew and a few new recruits, he began to spin tales of his adventures on the high seas. With each ale he drank, his stories became more and more exaggerated, his feats of bravery and cunning growing taller and taller. "And then there was the time I fought off 100 pirates single-handedly," he declared, his voice booming as he slammed his tankard down on the table. "I was outnumbered, but I didn't flinch. I just kept fighting, and in the end, I emerged victorious." The other pirates laughed and cheered, their eyes shining with admiration and awe. They knew that Redbeard was known for his tall tales, but they didn't mind. They loved to hear him talk, and they enjoyed the way he brought the stories to life with his animated gestures and deep, commanding voice. But as the night wore on, Redbeard's stories started to shift. He began to tell the tale of the rescue of Princess Ariadne, his voice growing softer and more serious as he spoke. "And then there was the time I rescued the beautiful Princess Ariadne from the clutches of the evil Captain Dreadnought," he said, his eyes gleaming with pride. "It was the greatest challenge of my life, but I knew that I had to do it. I had to save her, no matter what." The other pirates listened, captivated, as Redbeard told the tale of his fierce sword fight with Captain Dreadnought, of his rescue of Princess Ariadne from the dungeons, and of their escape from the stronghold. They knew that this was a story unlike any other, and they could see the love and devotion in Redbeard's eyes as he spoke. And the pirates started the tale about young Captain John Redbeard Blackthorn, who was a skilled and daring pirate, already known for his bravery and cunning on the high seas. One day, he received a desperate plea for help from the kingdom of Galathea. The beautiful and kind-hearted Princess Ariadne had been kidnapped by the powerful and ruthless pirate Captain Dreadnought, and the kingdom's defenders were powerless to stop him. Captain Blackthorn knew that he had to help, and he assembled a daring crew to set out on a mission to rescue the princess. The journey was long and perilous, and many of Captain Blackthorn's crew were lost along the way. But he never wavered in his determination to save Princess Ariadne, driven by a sense of duty and a growing admiration for the brave and compassionate young woman. Finally, after many months of hard sailing and fierce battles, Captain Blackthorn and his remaining crew reached the enemy's stronghold, a remote and heavily fortified island. Captain Dreadnought was a formidable opponent, but Captain Blackthorn was not intimidated. He led his crew in a daring attack on the island, using all of his strategic brilliance and combat skill to outmaneuver the enemy and rescue Princess Ariadne. As Captain John Redbeard Blackthorn and Captain Dreadnought clashed swords, their blades ringing out in the night air, they exchanged taunts and insults. "You'll never defeat me, Redbeard." Captain Dreadnought sneered, sweat pouring down his face. "I am the greatest pirate to ever sail the seas." "Ha!" Captain Blackthorn laughed, his eyes blazing with determination. "You're nothing but a washed-up coward, Dreadnought. I'll send you to the bottom of the ocean where you belong." "You'll never take me down, Redbeard." Captain Dreadnought yelled, red-faced with rage. "I am the terror of the seas, the ruler of all pirates." "You're nothing but a buffoon, Dreadnought," Captain Blackthorn shot back, his sword flashing as he parried another attack. "You couldn't defeat me if you tried for 1,000 years. You're nothing but a shadow of your former self, a pale imitation of a true pirate." "We'll see about that, Redbeard." Captain Dreadnought growled, redoubling his efforts. "I'll show you who the true Pirate King is." But as the two men fought on, it became clear that Captain Blackthorn was the superior swordsman. He moved with grace and precision, his blade a blur of steel as he parried and struck. Captain Dreadnought, on the other hand, was sloppy and uncontrolled, his attacks wild and desperate. And as the final blow was struck and Captain Dreadnought fell to the ground, defeated, Captain Blackthorn stood tall, triumphant. He had proven himself the true Pirate King, and he knew that his name would be remembered for generations to come. As Captain John Redbeard Blackthorn stormed the stronghold of Captain Dreadnought, he knew that he had to find Princess Ariadne and rescue her from the clutches of the evil pirate. He had heard that she was being held in the dungeons below, and he was determined to find her and bring her to safety. With a fierce determination, Captain Blackthorn fought his way through the ranks of Dreadnought's men, his sword flashing as he cut a path through the chaos. He knew that he had to be careful, for Dreadnought was a skilled swordsman and would not go down easily. But as he reached the dungeons, he saw a sight that filled his heart with joy. There, in a cell at the end of the corridor, was Princess Ariadne, her golden hair shining in the dim light. She was unharmed, but looked terrified, and Captain Blackthorn knew that he had to act fast. With a fierce battle cry, he charged at the guards, his sword flashing as he cut them down one by one. And as the last man fell, he turned to Princess Ariadne and she offered him her hand. "Hello, my lady," Captain Blackthorn said, bowing deeply and kissing damsel's hand. "I am Captain John Blackthorn, also known as Redbeard. It is an honor to finally meet you." "The honor is mine, Captain," Princess Ariadne replied, her voice soft and gentle. "I have heard so much about you, and I am grateful for your bravery in defeating Captain Dreadnought. He was a terror on the seas, and I am glad that he is finally gone." "It was my pleasure to serve and protect you, my lady," Captain Blackthorn said, his eyes sparkling with pride. "I am at your service, always." "Thank you, Captain," Princess Ariadne said, a blush rising to her cheeks. "You are a true hero, and I am grateful to have you by my side." "Come with me, my lady," he said, his voice filled with determination. "We have to leave this place, and fast. I will protect you and keep you safe, I swear it on my life." And as Princess Ariadne looked up at him, her eyes filled with gratitude and hope, she knew that she could trust him. She took his hand, and together they fled the stronghold, leaving behind the darkness and danger of the past and embarking on a new adventure together. Princess Ariadne was a vision of beauty, with long, flowing golden hair and piercing blue eyes. Her skin was fair and smooth, with a hint of pink in her cheeks. She had a slender figure, with delicate curves and a graceful bearing. Despite her royal status, there was a warmth and kindness in her gaze that made everyone who met her feel at ease. Whether she was dressed in lavish garments or simple robes, she always seemed to radiate a sense of elegance and poise. In short, Ariadne was the embodiment of grace and beauty, and it was easy to see why Captain Redbeard had fallen in love with her at first sight. As Captain John Redbeard, Blackthorn, and Princess Ariadne grew closer, they knew that they could not ignore their feelings any longer. When they returned to the Kingdom of Galathea, they declared their love for each other in front of the entire court, much to the delight of the people. Despite the challenges they faced, Captain Blackthorn and Princess Ariadne were determined to be together, and they decided to marry. However, when they approached Queen Adriana, Ariadne's mother, with their request, she was not pleased. Queen Adriana was a traditionalist and believed that Ariadne should marry a prince or nobleman, not a former pirate. She forbade the marriage and made it clear that she would not change her mind. Captain Blackthorn and Princess Ariadne were heartbroken, but they refused to give up on each other. They knew that they could not live without each other, and they were determined to find a way to be together. They made a plan to flee the kingdom and start a new life together, far from the constraints of royal life. On the night of their escape, Captain Blackthorn and Princess Ariadne slipped away from the castle, leaving behind a letter for Queen Adriana explaining their decision. They knew that they would be shunned by society and would have to face many challenges, but they were willing to do whatever it took to be together. For many years, Captain Blackthorn and Princess Ariadne lived in seclusion, building a new life for themselves far from the prying eyes of the kingdom. They were happy together, and they never looked back. Captain Blackthorn finished his story, a smile spreading across his face. "I had found Princess Ariadne, the love of my life, and I knew that we were meant to be together. But what happened next, I'll leave up to your imagination. Maybe we sailed off into the sunset, living happily ever after. Maybe we returned to her kingdom, where she was welcomed back with open arms. Or maybe something else entirely happened. The possibilities are endless, and that's part of the beauty of it." As the night wore on and Redbeard finished his tale, the other pirates sat in silence, awed by the bravery and heroism of their captain. They knew that they had just heard a story that they would never forget, and they were grateful to be a part of it.